Today, I'm going to be teaching you how to write a sales email sequence. I love these. These are a little bit tricky and a little intimidating when you first start writing them, but today I'm going to break it down for you. I'm going to share with you exactly what you should be talking in each one of them as you pitch your signature offer. Are you ready to get started? Let's go. Hey there, this is Corinna Bench, and welcome to the My Digital Farmer podcast. In today's market, it's not enough to just grow your product. You've got to know how to sell it too. Welcome to the My Digital Farmer podcast, where we reveal online marketing strategies and tips to help farmers like you get better and more confident at marketing. Learn how to find more customers, increase your sales, and build a strong brand for your farm. Let's start the show. Well, welcome to episode 248 of the My Digital Farmer podcast. I'm your host, Corinna Bench, one of the farmers at Shared Legacy Farms out in Elmore, Ohio. I'm also the founder of mydigitalfarmer.com, which is all about trying to help other farmers like you get more confident in your marketing and sales strategy so that you can grow a profitable business. How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to the show. Big shout out to all of my regular listeners and all of my new subscribers who are binge listening. I love it. If you're new to this show, please go check out my first 10 episodes. I always tell people to start there. They're designed to be an on-ramp into the marketing space. And subscribe to the show. Go check out a bunch of my back archives and peek around, see what interests you. If you want to get better at marketing and you're looking for a shortcut to get there, I encourage you to get onto my email list, because when you do, I have an awesome onboarding email sequence, basically a crash course in farm marketing that I'll drip out to you over email over the course of 2 months. You'll get a couple of emails a week, and it's going to share with you my curated selection of best tips, principles, people to follow, things you need to know. It's really good. So you can get onto that list by going to mydigitalfarmer.com/subscribe. Today's podcast is sponsored by my friends at LocalLine. Hit your sales targets this year with LocalLine. LocalLine is the all-in-one sales platform for farmers and food hubs. Increase your sales and streamline your processes with features including e-commerce, inventory management, subscriptions, online payments, pick and pack lists, and more. Whether you're a CSA farmer like us, sell meat, run a food hub, or offer a herd share, LocalLine has the tools and features you need to succeed. A platform truly built for farmers and their needs. Trusted by thousands across the U.S., LocalLine is the platform you need to take your farm to the next level. Subscriptions start as low as $49 a month with no setup fees or sales percentages. Try LocalLine today and receive a free premium feature for 1 year when you use my coupon code MDF2024. Head to mydigitalfarmer.com/LocalLine and get started today. And now back to the show. Well, today's topic is going to be a good one, and I have a feeling this is going to be a longer episode because I want to talk about how to sell through email. We're going to speak very specifically today about the email sales sequence or the email promotion sequence. This is the autoresponder series of emails that you have pre-written, stitched together that have the ultimate goal of causing a person on your list to buy your offer that you are pitching in this sequence. And this was one of the first assets that I built many years ago when I started learning about digital marketing. I built my lead magnet, I built my customer onboarding sequence, and I built my sales email sequence, I think in that order. The nurture sequence was in there too, but these are kind of the big guns in my arsenal that are helping me sell on autopilot. And as I was looking through my list of ideas of what I could be talking about this month on the podcast, what I could be teaching you, I noticed that I haven't ever really done a deep dive on how to build a promotion sequence. I did one a while back, but it was a long time ago. And considering that this podcast is going to drop in February of 2024, and February is typically the month when CSA week happens. So for this year, CSA week is February 19th through the 25th. If you don't know what that is, if you're a CSA farmer, you need to know. CSA week is the week when CSA farms around the country, around the world really, decide to collectively promote CSAs to the wide world. So you're going to see a lot of chatter about what CSAs are by many different farms. And it's a way to build brand awareness for the concept of community-supported agriculture and those programs and how they work. But ultimately, it's also a time when we try to pitch our CSA shares to customers. So because I know that this is the month when that happens, and the CSA Innovation Network has a big promotion packet, by the way, all around how to run CSA Week really well. And I'll make sure I link that up in the show notes for where you can grab that. It's free. Just go check out mydigitalfarmer.com/248 and you'll see the link for it. One of the things that we encourage you to do is to create an email promotion series that you are sending out during the week of CSA week. So I thought this would be a great time to actually talk about what those are, how to write them, and the kinds of things you could talk about in these emails if you are trying to pitch a very specific offer, especially if it's like a high ticket offer. I wouldn't be building email promotion sequences to sell like a bunch of carrots at your farmer's market. But if it's a higher ticket thing, a subscription, a membership, a side of beef, right? These are the kinds of things that you might actually take the time to write this in advance, build this asset, and then it lives there and you can use it all year long, not just this one time when you're pitching the product during a live launch. So today's episode is going to be like a deep dive in how do you build these. I'm not going to go super in the weeds because I do have a very detailed project, 30-day project inside of Farm Marketing School that will be releasing in the middle of February that basically is going to teach you how to do that. So if you want to join Farm Marketing School for a month and go take that class and get my template, my example of how I use sales sequences, you'll be able to do that. You can go to mydigitalfarmer.com/FMS. And that should be in there by February 15th, 20th, something like that. But these are really powerful tools to learn how to do. And like I said, once you write them for a particular offer, you have that forever. You just have to tweak it from time to time. So I thought we would spend this podcast talking about what you need to know to be able to do that, to build that particular asset well. And then I even want to share some topic ideas of what you would talk about in these different emails. How many are there? And how often are you sending them? And what are you saying in them? So that people will be more inclined to decide to buy your offer. Okay, so the first thing though I want to say, I've already explained what they are. These are built inside of email service providers. So this is not something that you could easily do in Gmail. I guess you could. I guess you could just write one and send it live every day during a live promotion. But ideally, you're writing them and you're putting them into something like MailChimp, or I use ConvertKit. And they live in there. They get triggered by a certain action, and then they land in a person's inbox who has shown interest in this particular product, right? You're not just sending this to a cold list, but you're sending it to people that you know are warm, that have raised their hand, either by subscribing maybe to a lead magnet, some kind of a subscribe form that you have that's clearly letting them know that, like one of my lead magnets, for example, is CSA right for you? Download these 7 questions to find out. And then my sales sequence for the CSA product follows that download a few days later, because I know that a person is probably mildly interested in joining a CSA if they got that particular lead magnet. So it doesn't feel weird to send them this asset that I'm building. But I do want to say that it's important. I think that sales sequences are more effective when you have done the other steps, the other prerequisites that come before. So specifically, if you have a lead magnet that qualifies the leads so that you know for sure the person who's getting this is somewhat interested in where you want to take them. So if you have that in place and the person has gone through that channel first. And also, I think if you've created like the email nurture sequence, and you've had someone go through that before they get the sales sequence, I think that that's important. I'm not saying that you can't build a promotion sequence like I'm going to teach you right now and just have that be the first thing you do and you just send it out to people on your list. But I think you will find that you'll have greater conversions with the sales sequence if a person has been primed beforehand, if they've been warmed up. And that's what these welcome emails that you pre-write, the nurture sequence that you pre-write, those are all designed to not sell anything, just introduce you and your brand to the person, to give them some freebies, give them some tips, build goodwill. And then they're like, oh, I really like the stories they tell. I enjoy reading these emails. And then, they have that lead magnet that is teaching them about your particular product. It sort of hints at it. And then we go into the sales pitch, right? So I want to make sure that I say that, because if you take what I teach today and you go build this great sales sequence and then you just throw it at your cold audience, at people who haven't even given you permission to send it to them or haven't shown any interest in CSA, you might get a bunch of unsubscribes and you might see some lower conversions. Okay. And then I also just wanted to say before I get started here, it's really important. It's not enough to just know, here's what you write inside of these different emails. Here's what you talk about. It's also important to learn the art of email copywriting. And there are rules of email writing that I think you really need to follow. If you break them, you'll have people not wanting to read your emails, not because you didn't write a great sales email, but because you didn't follow some of the writing rules. And so people just are turned off by them, or they can't physically get through them because they're giant blocks of text and they just delete them. So I'm just going to give you a couple of examples of what some of these rules of writing might be for email, because it's not like writing a English literature paper. Example would be that it's a really good practice to break up the text. So I typically have 1 to 2 sentence paragraphs, and then there's a line break. I like to include a photo in at least every single email. There's one exception that I don't, but paying attention to white space and headings, knowing how to write a great subject line, right? There are certain elements of learning how to be a good email writer that do matter. And if you break those rules of writing, it doesn't matter how awesome your text is inside of these sales sequences, they won't convert well. So I teach what these rules of email writing are, the formatting rules, how to set things up inside of my farm marketing school. I have a whole class just about email marketing foundations. And so I just want to make sure that I say that here too. I'm not going to review all that. I have podcasts about that. I have a project, like an email course inside of our marketing school that teaches that. So I don't need to review that here. Okay. The bulk of this episode is going to be talking about the 6 core emails that I think you need to include or consider including in your sales email sequence. Yes, I did just say 6. And sometimes farmers hear that and they freak out. They're like, what? You want me to send a person 6 different emails? They're going to totally unsubscribe. That's going to be so salesy. And so I will address that at the end, but I just want you to know I hear you. I felt all those same fears when I first learned how to do this. And you just have to trust me that people, if they've been qualified and they actually showed interest in your product in some way, they actually do want to get these emails from you. And so not everyone's going to open them. They're not going to open all of them. They're probably going to open 50% of them. So really they're only reading 3. So we need to send 6 to make sure that they get at least 3 and get the content, right? So let me kind of map out what the 6 core emails are, what we're talking about in each one of them. And I will also just say here that I recommend that you send them every day. They're sent daily, so there's no break in between them. So if you are pitching something like CSA Week, for example, runs for 7 days, you would send an email every single day. If that makes you really uncomfortable, then try every other day. But typically that's what a sales email promotion does. It packs them really close together and you just head for the finish line, you get to it, and you have an irresistible offer. And some people fall out of the funnel and some people want more and they can't wait till the next email to get more information and they end up buying. Okay, so here we go. Now, I'm not going to go into crazy detail, like I said, but I'm going to give you the overarching scope here. When you sit down to figure out what is it that I'm going to write about in these emails, I want to make sure that you know what your offer is first. Okay, so make sure you've done the work of building an irresistible offer. You got to know, what is the price? How is it being fulfilled? What are the features and benefits? Is there a bonus? What's the urgency? Why do they need to buy now? Do you have a special promo going on here during this time that you're running it? Maybe you don't, but you kind of need to know those basics before you get started. You also need to know your audience really well. So the ideal buyer for this offer, you got to know what makes them tick. You got to know the words, the pain points, the desires of their heart that they're after as it relates to your product. Because if you have no idea what's motivating them to buy your CSA or your side of beef or whatever it is that you're pitching, your flower subscription, then you're not going to know what to talk about, or what you choose to talk about won't trigger them, it won't speak to them, and it won't be effective. So again, that's a whole nother topic, like making sure you understand your customer avatar, you're dialed in to what they want and how they think and what motivates them. Hopefully you've done some of that work, okay? So we sit down in front of our Google Doc and we're going to think about the 6 topics that we need to cover. The very first email in the promotion sequence is what I call the Cliff Notes email. This is where you lay out all of the details of your offer. And this is going to be probably the longest email in the entire bunch. So you're going to lay out the value of your offer in detail with all of the benefits that come with buying it, with all of the features, the bullet points that come with the offer. And this is basically like, what do they get? So as you fulfill on the order, what does it look like? What do they get? In the case of a CSA box, it would be like you're getting a weekly box of veggies, 7 to 8 vegetables in each box, and you're including the so what. And if you don't know what that means, I'm going to reference you to another podcast that I recently did. It was episode 234, The 3 Most Powerful Words in Marketing. Go listen to that. It's really good. So don't just list the bullet points of features, but make sure you include a so what. Why does that feature matter? Is it certified organic? Okay, so what? Tell me why that matters, right? So you're listing all of the different features and benefits of this particular product. You're talking about what it costs. You're going to mention, how is life different when you have this product in your life, when you start using it? You want to speak to the future story, the way life will change. That's something called future pacing in the marketing world. And you want to also make sure you include the process for how to get it. Because if a person reads this huge, long email with all the details, and you don't include the process, like what's going to happen first, second, third, they may not take action. So make sure you're including how you actually order it and what will happen next once they buy, or what will be the questions that will be asked of them when they go to the point of sale and actually try to purchase it. So for example, with a CSA, if you're selling it, I don't know, and people just end up filling out a form and it goes to a Google Sheet, but they don't actually spend the money with you, you might need to explain that to them. Be like, hey, just go here to this link, fill out the form. It's going to ask you these questions. You're going to have to choose the pickup site, just put it in there, and I will reach out to you and send you a confirmation email. Get that. Then you have to send me your payment. Like all that stuff has to be in this value loaded email. Okay. So this is a big one. There's going to be a lot of words, a lot of hopefully headings and bullet points so you break up the text. Remember, we're following those rules of email writing. And you want to have an urgency element. You want to like make sure you're pointing out like, why do you need to take action on this right now? Like is this offer only good for 7 days during this special email promotion? Like what is that special thing you're going to do for them? All of that's kind of be included in here. Okay. So that one I feel like may actually be the easiest one to write because it's pretty technical. There's not a ton of imagination that needs to go in there. If you can throw in, like if you can lead with a story on the front, very short, like 2 short paragraphs that kind of draw the person in and act as the hook before you get into the actual meat of the email, even better. But this is where you're basically laying out the offer. Now, I want to address real quick, because I know some of you are like, oh, people don't like to read long emails. I hate to read long emails. I just want to pause and say that may not be the case. In the marketing space, there's kind of this concept of different strokes for different folks. There are types of buyers who really want the details. They like and are looking for long copy. They want to read all the stuff. They want to think about it. They want to use their logic. They want to justify their decision with reason. And so they need long copy. But you are right. There are other people in the population who do not like long copy, who want you to get to the point, who want it to be short and sweet. I don't need to know everything in the kitchen sink. I want to make quick, decisive decisions. I'm comfortable doing that. Here's the deal. Both types of people exist in the world, and both types exist in your customer base and in your leads list. And so as we're writing these 6 emails, you've got to have some copy that's long to meet the needs of some of those detail-oriented people. And then you're going to have some other emails that are shorter that meet the other needs. Okay. So if you're freaking out that some people are going to read this long email and be totally turned off by it, just realize that some of the people aren't going to buy unless you have the long email. Okay. So I'm just putting that out there. I have seen that to be true. I'm kind of curious if you consider yourself a long email type of buyer or a short email type of buyer. I'm definitely the one who needs to see all the details. So I will raise my hand right there. Okay, let's move on to the second email. The second email will come out the next day after you send out the first one. And this is the one where you are agitating the customer problem or the pain point. Why is this person coming and showing interest in this product? What is the motivation that triggered them to look into it? And you'll find that in most cases, it was something that's missing in their life or something that is a problem or a perceived problem, something they wish they had, or they're not good enough, or they're worried, or they're afraid of not knowing where their food comes from, and they want to have that peace of mind. Like, what is the thing that's driving them? And this is where you need to know your client base really well. And this only comes from doing customer research. But where are they right now? Where is that potential customer right now in their head? And in this email, you want to acknowledge where they are. You want to tell a story or a vignette that basically says, I bet you're thinking this. I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking this. Or maybe you even tell a very specific story about something that has probably happened to them. And in the process, you are showing empathy, right? You're showing them that you are the guide, that you understand them. So that's sort of the stuff that needs to be communicated in this email. And you want to hint at what could happen if they stay where they are and don't take action. If they don't buy your solution, help them see that they are in pain or that they are missing something, and then contrast that with the results that are possible, right? So that you also then remind them that your offer, that your product is going to help solve this problem. That is the primary purpose of this second email. It's to agitate the pain, to put your finger in the wound a little bit and make them feel the burn. Acknowledge that you understand them, right? So you're telling a story that really helps them see you have been where they are, you totally get them, and that's going to make them think, this is the right person to help me, they understand me. And then you're going to point to your offer as the medicine, as the solution to this pain point. Okay? So that's the gist of what needs to get accomplished in that second email. All right. The third email topic. This is a case study email, essentially. And the reason why you want this one to follow the second email is because you've just pointed out the pain point. You've just poked the wound, poked the bear. And now you want to contrast that with a story about the results that are possible if someone uses your solution, if someone buys your product. This is what happens. So a case study is basically just a testimonial in story form, right? And we're going to tie in that pain point that we just talked about in the email before. You're going to try and have it so that this case study, the person with this case study had that pain point. And then you're going to say, how was their life before, right? Before they started using their product. What were they thinking? What were they feeling? You're going to hint at that pain point again. And then you're going to tell the story about how now they're different. Now this is how they feel about things. This is what the product has done. And you're going to position the solution, your product, as the cause of that effect, right? That getting better or that desire being met was caused by your product. So I encourage you in this section to find a customer that has a story that's going to resonate with a lot of the people who are reading it, where it's a similar story that you hear again and again. And you want to describe the story in a way that makes the reader feel like they're living it, right? It needs to feel really authentic. And you want to highlight how your product was the bridge to the other side, or it was the catalyst for change. Another way you can accomplish this email is by showing several screenshots of testimonials or direct messages that you've had with someone inside of social. Or you could show a picture of the actual customer or a picture of some of the meals that were made. And if I'm just thinking of like a CSA member, if that was the offer that you're pitching, the CSA membership, you might show like, this is what they're now cooking in their homes. These are kinds of meals that they're making as a result of being a part of this program. And it helps the person imagine that could be their future story, right? It future paces. It gives them something to look at and say, that's what I want. Imagine a week dedicated to empowering farmers with the latest strategies, tools, and ideas to enhance their CSA and kickstart the CSA season. Well, that's exactly what CSA Week is all about. Whether you're a seasoned farmer or just getting started, CSA Week is designed to inspire, educate, and connect you with a community of growers across the country. From February 19th through the 25th of 2024, join the CSA Innovation Network in this week-long celebration dedicated to promoting CSA, supporting local agriculture, and fostering a stronger connection between farmers and their communities. Connect with farmers from across the country and gain exclusive access to resources and materials that will continue to support your CSA growth long after CSA Week is over. So mark your calendars for February 19th through the 25th, 2024, and get ready to cultivate a healthier, tastier, and more sustainable future through the power of community-supported agriculture. Head to csainnovationnetwork.org/CSA Week to learn more and get involved and be a part of the CSA movement that's changing the way we think about food. That's csainnovationnetwork.org/CSA-week to learn more. And now back to the show. Okay, number 4. This is my favorite one. This is probably the one that you'll write first because I'm literally going to tell you what to write. It's so short. This is the email where you solicit questions. And I don't put a picture in this one, although I guess you could. You're going to write a paragraph that says something like this. Hey, I would hate for you not to buy the CSA because you have a question that I haven't covered yet. So if you're thinking you might be interested and you still have a question that hasn't quite been cleared up, please hit reply and ask, and I will answer it personally. The end. That's it. Okay? You will be surprised how many people write back. And when they do, you're going to get some really good data on what the questions are that are holding people back. What are the roadblocks? What are the obstacles in the buying process? And you will be able to create content in future promotions to kind of help overcome these in the early stages before a person even starts down the buying path. You can head off some of these, but this is a really good question. And it also does cause a lot of people to write back. Now, make sure that when they write you back that you follow up with them. If a person is writing back with a question, man, they are a hot lead and you can probably close that deal. You could probably close the deal on the phone the best. So you might even offer to give them a chance to text you. If instead of saying hit reply, you could say, hey, here's my phone number. You can text me if you'd like to text me. Or maybe you do that when they follow up. You can be like, hey, why don't we just call and talk to each other and I can answer just directly over the phone. Okay, that was number 4. Number 5, this one's also, I think, kind of easy. This is the FAQ email. And sometimes I break these up into 2 emails. So if I have one specific frequently asked question that I think has enough meat to it that it deserves its own email, I will pull that one out and it will get its own email where I just focus on that particular question. So I'm trying to think, I know a big one for us is what's going to be in the box, and would I be better just buying from the store or getting your box? That's a huge question they need help with for some reason. And so that might be something where you would decide, I'm just going to spend one whole email talking about that and really guiding someone, right? But if you want, you can just load up one email with a list of all your FAQs. And this is where you just kind of say, hey, if you're thinking about joining the CSA, it is completely normal. Most people have a couple of questions before they're ready to take the step. And so if you're feeling that, you're completely normal, right? So you normalize the fact that they have questions and you almost applaud it and celebrate it and congratulate them, right? And you make it sound like most of my past customers also had questions, so you're in good company. That just doesn't disqualify you. It doesn't mean that you probably won't like it if you have questions. So this email is designed to help you find the answers to the most common questions that my super fans had before they signed up for this product. And this is where you then list the different questions. So make sure that this is a scannable email, right? In terms of how you format it. I would break it up with a few photos, but you want your questions to be different headings, right? They're a different point size so that they stick out. And then the answers to them are fairly brief, but they're underneath each of those headings. You're going to know what those FAQs are. I'm sure you have a list of at least 3 to 5 right now that you can think of for this product. What are the questions that your customers give you again and again? But here are some that you might want to consider putting into the mix if you haven't already. One is, what do I get again? Like, make sure you have that at the end of the FAQ list just to review the offer, the highlights of the offer. Another good question to have in the mix is, who is this ideally for? And who is this not for? Those are really powerful questions. And be honest, right? Don't try to sell something to a person that isn't a good fit. You will regret that. So just really position yourself as a servant here and like, hey, I want to help you find something to solve your problem. And if I'm not your CSA or if I'm not your product, that's okay. Like, you might be better served at the other CSA in town or just going to the farmer's market or whatever. Just be really honest with that. So for like, if you were doing this for CSA week, you probably have questions like, when does it start? How many weeks? How much food do I get? How does it work? What are the risks? Can I switch sites? If I go on vacation, what happens? What does CSA stand for? What if I don't like it? Right? I just threw out a bunch of you, but figure out what are the big questions and you're sticking those in here. Now, as you get more questions from that email number 4, where you're soliciting questions, you might find that there are obstacles to buying that are coming up to you that you don't have in your FAQ section, and you can quickly add them in as you start compiling them. Now, what's going to happen is you're going to have people skim this one, okay? And they're going to be looking for their questions, and they're only going to read that part. So don't feel bad if like people aren't reading this whole thing. Don't worry that it's going to be too long. Just make it easy to find the question that you're looking for and put the most popular ones near the top. Okay. Number 6, this is the last email in the 6 email framework. This is the email where you basically focus on the urgency of your offer. Hopefully you have something in your offer that makes it urgent. Why do they have to buy now? What is the special bonus that you're going to give them if they click on one of the links, in the 6 days or 7 days of this promotion? Are you going to give them a gift? Are they going to get a free dozen eggs? Are they going to get a $20 off in store credit? Are they going to, I don't know. What is your bonus offer? Do you have a bonus? You might not, but if you have some element of urgency, it's going to help tremendously in closing the deal. You need to give them a reason to act now. And you also want to mention in this email that this is the last time they're going to hear from you about this offer, right? So this could be like in the PS, and you might say something like, are you still reading, but you haven't taken action yet? If that's you, then you probably need to try this. So go for it. And this is going to be the last time that I bring this up. So, buy the product now. So in this email, you are telling some kind of a story, or you are highlighting, why they need to buy now, that this is a really cool bonus. Focus on the bonus, talk all about the bonus, how great it is, and that they don't want to miss out on it. This is the last day they can grab it. Okay. All right. Now, that was sort of the basic framework for the 6 types of things you would talk about in an email and in what order. You could also, I'm going to throw out a few other ideas at you. These are things that I have put into my sales sequences. Yes, sometimes my email sequences are longer than 6 emails, believe it or not. So in the case of a CSA, you might need to add an email that just explains what CSA is in a nutshell. Before you start talking about the offer on the front end, you might have to do a little bit of education in that first email and just teach and explain it. So that could be written down in Word form, or I have also done it where I've done a video of myself. I've recorded myself on Loom, and then I've taken the URL of where that video lives, or I put it onto YouTube, and then I have a screenshot of the video and I say, hey, this is where I explain. You might be wondering what CSA is all about. What the heck does it even mean? If you want to see a video of it, click here. And then it takes them to that short 2-minute video that explains it. And then you could also try to highlight it in text down below. So that's a possibility, especially in light of like CSA week. That might be a topic that you need to spend a whole email on. But I've also done individual emails all about individual features. I call it the individual feature focus. So this is maybe where if you, in your offer, you have some particular element that you think adds a lot of value to your particular product, and you want to spend some time talking about it. So maybe if it's a side of beef and you need to really spend a whole email that explains the process for filling out a cut sheet. Maybe you actually feel like you want to, explain that you've got their back and you're going to walk them through how to do it. Or in the case of a CSA, I spend an entire email talking about my CSA Member Academy, which is my online resource library of like tools, of videos, of cheat sheets, of recipe guides, storage guides, even a CSA beginner's guide to CSA class that teaches them the ropes of being a successful CSA member. Like, I basically say, we've got your back. Like, we have an intense onboarding program, if you want it, to help you learn the ropes of CSA and get over the hump faster. And I'm really honest about, hey, there's going to be a learning curve. You're going to hit a wall. It's normal. Every customer sort of goes through that in the first year. And so we try to help you get through it faster by giving you some really awesome support. And I want to show you what this library is, what this academy is all about. Here's an example of a resource you'll find inside of it. I have a screenshot of like something in the academy, right? So that gets its own focus because I know one of the things holding people back from taking a step forward is like, well, I'm not sure that I'll be successful with this. I think I might waste the food. Or what if I don't know what to do with the stuff they give me? This is a lot of money. And I just want to come at that preemptively and say, here's how we handle that. We have a really great network. Or I might do a whole email where I just talk about the community, the Facebook group that is a part of our membership, and how most people have no idea how much that ends up helping them. Like, when they sign up, they don't realize that that's going to be as valuable as it ends up being, but they end up finding friends there and connecting and feeling a part of something bigger and like really claiming the identity of a CSA member because they're now a part of a network and they're friends with people, and like there's value in that. So I do have a whole email just about the Facebook group and what goes on in there and the contests we run, and right. So thinking about your offer, is there a very specific feature or benefit that you think is so good that it deserves an entire email to kind of like tantalize this person? So think about that. And then finally, the other kind of idea that you could throw into the mix here would be an entire email just about, like I wrote down, know your farmer, but maybe there's a value or an ethos that you want to make sure you highlight. If I were pitching a CSA, I'm going to really spend some time talking about like, hey, CSAs are all about knowing your farmer. This is the ultimate way to get behind a specific farmer and have their back. And you're going to get to know us, and you're going to know our growing practices, and you're going to see true transparency, right? So I might show a picture of my family, of my husband, of our whole family, or us working in the fields, or the team. And I'm explaining, how I'm basically answering the question of, yes, I'm going to give you the story behind food. You're going to have absolute certainty that you know where your food comes from. We're going to connect with you and build a friendship with you. And here's the beginning of that, right? It makes that seem more possible when we have an entire email that's devoted to it. So that might be another example of an email that you could write. So when you sit down and, map out the possible topics, I gave you like the first 6 that I mentioned are kind of like the core ones that are recommended. But you may find that you want to spend, you want to throw in some other types of messages that you think are going to seal the deal, or going to explain the value of your offer even better, or going to remove confusion for your customer or your lead, because maybe the reason they're not taking action is because they don't quite understand what happens after I buy, right? Maybe you have to have a whole email that explains that. So you need to kind of go through that list of do I want to focus on the bonus? Do I want to talk about, are there some key values messages I want to make sure they know? What are the big obstacles and things holding them back that I need to overcome? Is there a feature I need to focus on and talk about how it overcomes this problem? This is why we built the feature. Today's podcast is sponsored by Farm Marketing School. This is my monthly membership where farmers can come in and build marketing assets one at a time in special 30-day build projects that I've created for you. Right now, there are like 8 projects inside of Farm Marketing School, and every month a new one gets added, and you basically subscribe for 30 days, or you can stay in for a couple months or 3 months. You can stay in the whole year. But what you're doing is you go inside and you decide, this is the project that I want to work on. You take the class, the workshop class that's recorded, you just watch it, and then you build it yourself. So this is the DIY version of Accelerator. There's no coaching element or mastermind or Zoom meetups. It's just you going in there, watching the class that the accelerators saw live with me, and then working on it on your own. So if you're a DIY type of person and you think you can do it yourself, this is an amazing resource. There are projects in there for how to build a promotion plan, how to build your email nurture sequence, how to write a great weekly email, how to build the website homepage messaging, what goes on that homepage, how to build a lead magnet, and more. So if you want to see what's in the Farm Marketing School, you can head to mydigitalfarmer.com/FMS. And I encourage you to subscribe for 1 month. Check it out. I have a whole onboarding, like a crash course in marketing that I encourage you to take in your first week. There's an assessment inside of there that's going to help you know which elements you should build first. It's so good, and I would love it if you would give it a shot for a month. Let me know what you think, and if you decide you like it, you can stay in there for several months in the off season and get a ton of your marketing stuff done. Okay, before I finish, I just want to address the thought that may be going through your head as you're listening to this. You're like, okay, this is all well and good. I can write these 6 emails, but I just don't know if I can send 6 emails in a row every single day, 6 days in a row. That just seems intense. There is a real fear of being salesy that comes up, and I want to acknowledge you for feeling that. And I want to invite you to consider a few things to help you overcome that. All right. First of all, I want to remind you that not everyone will read all of your emails. So this fear of email overload and I'm unsubbing, most people read about 40 to 50% of the emails that you send, maybe 50 to 60%. So if you send out 6, that means they're really only reading 3 of them. And that doesn't actually sound so bad. 3 emails in a week, I could see that happening. There will be a few who will read them all. There will be people who will buy on the first one or the second one, and then they won't click on all the other ones, right? They're getting removed. And there will be people who need to see all 6 of them, and they will buy on the 6th one. And you will be glad that you had that 6th one, okay? So that's the first thing I just want to say. Not everyone's going to read all of them. The second thing I want to bring up here is that you can include an opt-out link. And I recommend that you do this for any time where you're going to be sending a lot of promo emails stacked up back to back. And basically an opt-out link is you put it in the PS, and you can put it in the PS of every email if you want, or near the bottom. You can be in the PPS, the postscript. You can just say, hey, over the next few days, I'm going to be sending you more emails about XYZ, whatever your offer is, about CSA, side of beef, whatever. If you love my regular emails, but you don't want to hear about this promotion, because hopefully you're sending your regular weekly email, right? So you just kind of say, if you love getting my weekly emails, but you'd rather just not hear about this promotion, just click the link, and then you link up that link. And I won't send you any more of these promo emails. Okay? That's all you have to say. And so for the people who really like you and still want to be on your list, you're giving them a way to opt out of this promotion. And I find that when I include that sentence, it really frees me. It's like, okay, I'm not like forcing this person to sit through all of these emails that they don't want to read if they don't want to read them. Instead, I'm giving them a chance to bypass these. And it takes away all of my anxiety about it. Now, there's a way to then link up that link so that when they click on it, it removes the tag. It either removes them from the sequence, that would be the rule, or it removes the tag that is required for someone to get that sequence, right? It kind of depends on how your email service provider sets it up, but this is something that you can do in an email service provider. You have to go build that automation, and there's instructions for how to do that in the resource section of every email service provider, so just look that up, okay? That's also another tip on this fear of being salesy. One other comment I'm going to make here, though. If you want to be in business, you have to make offers. That is how you make money, okay? And you're going to have to learn how to get comfortable with the potential no. I always tell people, this was a fairly new learning for me actually, that your yeses live in the land of no. And so you've got to get reps, more comfortable taking no's, getting no's, having people unsub, having people say that's not for me, having people say no thank you. Don't make the no mean something bad. It's just data. It's just a no. And especially if you go into it knowing that I'm going to send this email sequence and I might only have 5% of people who get it, click yes. All right, whatever the number is, figure out what the number is, what your conversion rate is. But if it's only 5%, then it's only 5%. And that gives you really valuable information because now you know I need to have this many people on the list going through this in order to get to the number I need, right? If you know that 5% gets you 10 people and you need to get 20 people, then you know I got to double the number of people going through my list to get to 20. If 5% is the conversion rate, then 5% is the conversion rate. Hopefully it's higher, but like it is what it is. So no's are a part of the sales world, and we can't let our fear of no or people not wanting our offer keep us from not pitching the offer at all. So it's completely normal to feel this. I still feel it. I push through it and I do it anyway. All right. And this is how we find our yeses. So that's a mindset thing. And I get you. If you feel uncomfortable, I don't know if you're ever going to not feel comfortable. Like, I don't know if that's ever going to go away. This is the way that we make sales. We have to ask people. And some of them will say no. If you have this opt-out sentence, it makes it a whole lot easier. Now, make sure that in all of these emails that you write, you have included your call to action. I hope that's obvious. But don't write this beautiful email and then not have a button in a couple of different places in that email where it's very obvious this is the button you push to go to the point of sale and buy. Okay, that needs to be in every email. You might even consider putting it in every PS as well, because people often read the PS. The beauty of the sales email sequence is that once you set it up once and you turn it on, and it's on autopilot, and you set up the triggers, like, subscribe people to this once they subscribe to the CSA lead magnet, right? And have it trigger 2 days after the nurture seek, whatever. Like, you figure out the order that you want this to happen in. Maybe you want the lead magnet to happen first, then a nurture sequence for a week, and then the sales pitch. Okay, that's up to you. But once you set this up, it is there working for you behind the scenes, like nonstop. You have an automated salesperson, and you will find that you only have to go back and tweak it periodically from time to time. And you'll get data from it that will show you which emails are working, which emails aren't working so well. And you can go in and adjust them and tweak them as you should. Don't expect the very first time you build this for it to be awesome. Okay? It won't be. It'll be, perhaps it'll just be mediocre. It's like the rough draft. And that's how it works. You build it and then you see how it goes, and then you go and you optimize it and you fix it. And it may take you a good year or two to finally really dial it in and feel like you got a pretty good thing going. And you'll know what numbers typically come out of this sales sequence. It may be higher than you thought. It may be lower than you thought, but the number will be helpful to know. Okay. And you can kind of count on it for providing that for you. So I love sales sequences, and once they're built and they start working, it's so cool to see it happen. It's so cool to see sales come from them, and to see which ones are driving the sales is also really, really fun to look at in your data. All right, my call to action from this episode is that I want you to write a sales sequence. So if you are going to be doing CSA week, hopefully you have some ideas from this podcast. I know that the CSA promotion packet that the CSA Innovation Network is offering for free, if you go to their website, I know it has a series of email templates that are in there that you can look at for an example. Another thought is that I will be dropping a new project, 30-day project, into Farm Marketing School in mid-February, and that project will be building an email promotion sequence. And so if you want to take the formal class where I teach the specifics how to do this and where I show you how to word it and the templates and examples, then you can go subscribe to Farm Marketing School just for this month, take that one class, maybe binge a few others while you're in there. You've got 30 days until you get charged again. Maybe just learn this skill, get this asset built, and then you can cancel your membership. So if you want to take that route, you can go to mydigitalfarmer.com/FMS. And like I said, I should have that inside of Farm Marketing School by February 20th at the absolute latest. All right. That's all I got. Make sure that you go check out the CSA Week promo packet that we talked about. They've got like a social media content calendar in there. They have a press release template. They have sample social media templates on Canva that you can customize. They have an infographic that explains what CSA is, like the 4 different versions of CSA styles. It's really good. There's a lot of good stuff in there that you can customize. And if you are listening to this episode through the lens of CSA promotion, that's definitely an asset you want to go get and just use that. You can use that all year long, not just during CSA week. But if you're selling something else, I hope that this episode was helpful to give you a general guide of the kinds of stuff that you should be talking about when you are pitching something in an automated sales sequence. Today's show notes can be found at mydigitalfarmer.com/248. If you liked this episode and you want to share it with someone, another farmer who needs to write a really great sales email sequence, please copy the URL for this particular episode and text it to them and say, oh my gosh, just listen to this. Or go leave me a rating or a review on Apple Podcasts. That would be awesome. I'm trying to get more reviews. I want as many people as possible to know about the show so they can get better at selling their farm products. Don't forget, you can get onto my email list. If you do, I have some really great free stuff I want to send your way to make your marketing better. You get that at mydigitalfarmer.com/subscribe. I'm also on Instagram at mydigitalfarmer. And if you would love to be on the show, or if you have something you would like to share, an innovation that you're doing on your farm in marketing, please reach out to me. We'll see if you're a match. You can go to mydigitalfarmers@gmail.com. Thanks for joining me today, everyone. Have an awesome week. Go write that sales email and let me know if you did it. Go to Instagram at mydigitalfarmer, DM me. Let me know you did it, and we'll celebrate. Have a great week. Bye-bye.